So let's expand this conversation. It gets interesting, I promise you. And we have joining us tonight from our Abuja studio, Dr. Usman Bugaje, who's a political historian. Dr. Bugaje, it's good to have you on the program tonight.
It's my pleasure, Kayode.
You know, it's quite interesting because about this time last year, we actually spoke. I was in Lagos, you were in Abuja, and we spoke about, security at large. We talked about some other issues. And being a historian yourself, I mean, you have ways of chronicling things. From that period we spoke last year, it was on Sunday Politics, coincidentally, to this moment. Has anything changed for you in the area of security, or do I say insecurity?
Well, it's fairly obvious. Things have gotten worse in terms of, for example, last year, there were a number of local governments under control of bandits in Sokoto, for example. Just being specific. Last year, we didn't have series of attacks on the Abuja-Kaduna road with the kind of frequency and the kind of gravity that we saw in the last 1-2 months. You can go on in Katsina, the number of local governments now that are being lost to bandits is increasing. Kaita, 2 days ago, was under attack. And Kaita is barely some 15 or so kilometers, from Katsina itself. So, I mean, you can go on and on and on. It's very obvious. And listening to that kind of statement that these government issues really sounds very insulting to the citizens, because the government is basically telling us that it is insensitive, it is incompetent, and it is irresponsible. Look at the gravity of the scale, and you are belittling what is happening, and you are talking as if things are getting better, and doing so very casually. People are crying. People are I mean, blood is flowing. Everybody is worried. People don't sleep. And look at this. And then the president say, and its aides are just like jollying, and as if these things are just some kind of fairy tales. This is really incredible, Kayode.
Just to put it in context, Dr. Bugaje, the president's Christmas message, if we could just put that up, the parts where he talked about courageous security forces bolstered by the necessary support from this administration daily confront the wicked ones amongst us who continue to threaten the peace of the land. So that's a part. Is that the part you reference as being insensitive?
This is completely out of touch with the reality. Where is the support for the courageous army? Where is it? We haven't seen it. And if it is, we should see it on the ground. The taste of pudding, they said, is in the eating. Let's see it on the ground. Let us see them retrieving those local governments that have been lost. Let us see it, in the roads becoming securer. Let us see it in the number of attacks, going down. You just reported what happened in Maiduguri, despite the fact that the president was there. Aren't you yourself seeing that things are really getting worse? So all this grammar, I mean, somebody just sits down and crafts these speeches, and the president just reads them out. I'm not sure he is fully briefed, or if he is not, it's his responsibility to know exactly what is happening. And you can see what is happening. When people are being killed in scores, people are being burnt alive, they are busy doing ceremonies, all sorts of ceremonies. Is this the way to show that government is serious about security? Please.
Right. So the president's visit, for one, I mean, it was meant to be some sort of moral booster for the men and women of the armed forces on the front lines. The president, during that visit, in fact, asked Nigerians to fairly, rate his performance, saying that, related to what was happening before he came into office and what is happening now. And, you know, he referenced some factors regarding that, saying that Nigerians should judge him fairly. So to the extent, I mean, to which the president says he has done a lot, I mean, what more should be done?
Kaidi, I think we should ignore this conversation. Unless you are part of the conspiracy to prolong our suffering, please let's start thinking of what team are we going to put in 2023.
I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, because
I don't think that's fair on me. I'm just putting in the question
there is
to you.
nothing more. Come. Listen to me. There is nothing more to expect from these people. 6, 7 years. Look at where the country is at the moment. And then you are asking me to look forward to anything? Haba. This is, I mean, 80% of their time is gone. And they've messed up this country. And you look at all the statistics. And then you are asking me to look, I don't look forward to anything.
So
honestly.
The question really...
I'm looking forward to the next administration. And I'm hoping we do not repeat the same mistake we make. Because in the last 20 years, or 20 plus years, 5 times we have taken people with ambition to run this country. We have supported them. And look at what is happening. I don't want us to keep repeating what we have been doing and then to expect things to be different. I think we have to turn around and start looking for a team of competent Nigerians who will now be hosted by a political party, and 1 or 2 of them will lead so that we can get the votes, and then they'll start fixing the country. We can't leave this politics to politicians. We can't allow politicians to continue ruining this country. We need statesmen. Politicians are only thinking about the next election. And that's why the moment they are in office, they start accumulating money, they start stealing, they start building up, because Nigerian politics is all about money and violence. And this is what the young people in their 20s, this is all they see in this country. Since they started in 1999, all they hear is money and violence. This is what characterizes our politics. It is empty, there are no ideas. Politicians don't, all their conversation is about winning. It's about how do you win? What lies do you tell the citizens? Which way do you deceive them? Because there's nothing on the ground. This country has been going down the drain for the last 20 years. I would want to start thinking of where do we get a team that can actually, a team of competent people. And there are a lot of competent people in this country. There are a lot of competent people in the diaspora. Some of the Nigerians are some of the best, the most competent around the world. Why can't we harvest this gains that we have made, so that they can come together and then we build? But we can't do it with this kind of politics. We have to change the paradigm. We have to shift the paradigm. We can't continue, people come with ambition because they have money, because they are connected, because they are this, and then they run a campaign, they get themselves into office by whatever means possible, and then they just start repeating the same kind of thing.
Well, Dr. Bugaje,
one of these brilliant fellows, you remember, I think it was Einstein, who said that to repeat the same thing over and over to expect a different result is one of the definitions of insanity.
And I'd like to take up this point with you. Pardon me, you can land on that point.
Okay, the point I'm making is that I think, Kayode, what we require now is for Nigerians to come and team up. We no longer need one single candidate who claims to have the solution to the problems of this country. We have seen it. There is no one candidate. There is no one person, no matter how good he is, no matter how bright he is. What we need is a teamwork to salvage our dear country.
But at the end of the day, Doctor,
change the way politics is being organized, so that we create a team, we have a collegiate leadership, and then we put our ideas together, so that when we come to campaign, we'll campaign on the basis of ideas. What solutions do you have to the security problem of this country? Right. What solution do you have to the problem of manpower development? What solution do you have for infrastructure? What solution do you have for economy? How do you fix agriculture? How do you provide jobs?
Right. So because of our time, I need to take you up on some other issues. I mean, it's a lot really to discuss. And I know we keep oscillating between solution. You've referenced some solutions politically. People need to, you know, get more hands on deck, as it were. Well, at the end of the day, we can only have one president, one governor per state, but people need to be more involved. But when we oscillate between solutions,
but he needs to come with a team. He needs to come with a team. We will no longer elect a person whose team we don't know, so that we don't have to wait 6 months before the cabinet is constituted. We need to know who is the president coming up with. We need to see them. We need to evaluate them. We need to even interrogate them, so that we know what we are getting. We can't just continue that blind dating kind of thing. You just simply elect someone, and then he shuts his door, and then he brings his friends and relatives, and then they start, you know, bungling and fumbling and then destroying our country. We are not going to allow that to continue to happen. Why should we? I mean,
so leadership.
You just mentioned it. We are over 200 million at the moment. In the next 10 years, we are going to be 300 million. The conversation that we should be having now is, how do we, you know, provide for food? How do we provide, you know, for education? How do we provide for health care? How do we provide jobs for this population? This conversation is not around our politicians. You don't hear this in APC. You don't hear this in PDP. They are all, you know, trying to say, okay, you have done this, blaming each other. And trying to say, okay, when we come, we are going to do this. I mean, I have not even seen any different conversation. It's the same rot that we have been listening for the last 20 years. And this is why this country is going down the drain. Our politics is empty. There are no ideas.
Well,
just
Doctor,
money and violence. And we have to change that.
We need to make the most of this opportunity we have with you.
We need to find time to discuss this.
Yes,
we need to try to discuss this, because this is more fundamental than the kind of thing that you have been doing.
Right. So let me just say that we need to make the most of the time we have, I mean, with you tonight. And you talked about leadership recruitment process in some sense. And it's always important to dwell on some of the contemporary issues. Yes, we look at the historical perspectives as well. And just recently, I mean, I discussed with the president's media aide the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which some have said, I mean, should solve a lot of the leadership issues we have in the country. The provisions of direct primaries, some parties say, no, we don't want to be restricted to that. But more importantly, is the way forward, which we look, I mean, to get into in 2022. What will be the way forward for you regarding that impasse?
Now, let me first say that all this hype or quarrel or conflict between the president, you know, and the National Assembly is all about self-interest. Yes, within the bill, there are very useful things on transmission, issues of card reader, but the real issue that they have been focusing on is whether we should have direct or indirect primaries. Now, those who champion the direct primaries are not doing so because they want to improve. They are doing so because they want to protect their interests. Because the governors, if you allow indirect, the governors will be the ones to choose. And they worry that they may not come back. And the governors don't want to lose their ability to manipulate the system. So let's not someone tell me that, these things are really altruistic. These are personal quarrels between the legislature on the one hand that worry about coming back, and the governors that worry about losing that ability to manipulate the system. The real issues of electronic transmission are not even part of the discussion. These are the issues. I wish they would be selfless enough to remove those elements that affect their own interests and forward those more critical issues of electronic transmission, card reader, so that we can now be able to get some progress in improving our electronic system. But let me come to the point you have raised. Now, what I think we require to change fundamentally the policies of this country and to begin to get really the kind of mileage we require, is not something which the National Assembly is going to be ready to do. For example, at the moment, if you want to contest for any post, all you have in the Constitution is that secondary school certificate that gives you the eligibility. Nobody is talking about the suitability. We have to come back and discuss suitability. We have to include it. If we are not going to include it in the constitution, for whatever reason some people might bring, we have to include it in the party's constitution. That you can't come and contest for such a post in the National Assembly because you're required to have a certain level of education, certain level of competence, certain level of character. We have got to find a way of putting qualification to our leadership.
Right.
If we are not prepared to do that, then we are not prepared to change, and we will continue to have the rogue elements. They will take over because all it requires now to win election is violence and money. And that's
Well,
it.
Doctor.
And that's what we want to avoid, Coyote.
And I think that's a great place to anchor. The good thing is that the National Assembly says they are going back to their constituents to consult. So I certainly hope that the people will raise this point. But for now, we have to thank you, Dr. Usman Bugaje, historian, for joining us tonight on the program. If you can do that in 5 seconds, Doctor.
Coyote, I just have one last request. Not me alone. Please get people to start discussing the more fundamental issues. A lot of the issues that you people discuss, are superficial. They do not take us very far. Well, in fact, they detain us.
Well, Doctor,
please, let's start serious, deep discussion.
We've certainly taken that to heart. And we ask the questions that the people want to know about. So we thank you for that. We've taken that on board, and we appreciate your time. I wish you a happy holidays, Dr. Usman Bugaje.